All right, so in this video, I'm going to do some new things to my game. I want to change three things. One, I want to have just 4 bubbles appear right away, no space bar. I want there to be a timer, because I really want that to be my game element, is I'm going to keep track of time. And then 3, I want to have an end screen that's going to keep track of like how fast I was able to complete the game. In this case, that just means getting rid of all the bubbles. So we'll see what I can do about. Hopefully, I can get this in one video, but I'll try and break it up into small pieces where I can. All right, so let's start with this. This is where I'm creating my bubble. I'm actually going to change this up a little bit. I'm going to take all this code, and I'm going to put it in its own method called public void. We'll call it a bubble maker. So anytime I want to make a bubble, I can just call that method. Now when I go up to my setup, after I create my array list, I'm going to do a little loop. I'm going to loop through this 4 times. Doing it arbitrarily 4 times. It could be obviously as many times as I want. I might even change this later, but I don't want to do that. I want to call bubble maker. And there we go. Okay, so we have this. Now when we run this, we should get 4 bubbles appearing on the screen, and they're all clickable. Now I want to add a game element to this. I think the best way is like, how can I keep track of how long it takes me to get rid of all the bubbles? So let's go into draw. I want my timer. So what I'm going to do is I want a timer that's going to appear in the top right corner up here. I can start out by, if I want to figure this out, I'm going to say text. I'm just going to say test. And then I want to put it in the top right corner. I'm going to say that's like width, which is the width of my screen, minus 100, comma 100. I know that this text, I think, is going to default to black, so I'm going to do fill of 255 to make sure that's white. I also want to make sure that my text size is not, I think by default it's going to be very small, so I'm going to say like 50. And let's see how that works when I run this. Yeah, we're getting something at the top right. I'm going to move this a little bit. Let's say maybe 50 here. There's other things I could do in here. I might do, actually, let me do that. I'm going to do some fancy stuff. Actually, I'm going to leave that off. I could do some text alignment to make it look really nice, but I'll leave it the way it is right now. You can look into the method called text align if you really want to. That can be in your document. You can check your documentation or ChatGPT for that one to get it to align to the right. It would make things look a little prettier. All right, now what I want to do is I want to have a timer up in that corner. I'm actually going to make a timer variable. I'm going to make a double timer. I want to have it up here because I want it to persist between different loops of this draw, because I want to do different things. That's going to be like how long has the game been running, which is also going to be a proxy for my score. So let's say in here, okay, what I want to do in here is I want to say, let's put timer in here. It's going to get, well, actually, let me show you what timer is going to be. Timer is going to be equal to, right now, we'll say millis. And then we're going to change this a little bit. Millis is the milliseconds that the game has been running, like how many thousandths of a second has it been running. So let's just display that. I'm cognizant of trying to make this video quicker, so I'm kind of running through some things. But in here, it's going to get mad at us. It's probably going to say, if it ever gives us a little prompt, it'll say something like, what are you doing here? I'm expecting like an int or string. This is not set up for taking a double. You made a double. What are you thinking? What I can do in here is a quick fix that I can make if I ever want to turn like a string an integer or a double or really anything into a string, almost anything. I can do this. I can just make an empty set of quotes plus timer. What that's going to do is this will create a string that has nothing in it, and then we're appending or adding on whatever variable we're looking for. As a result, this whole thing will be a string. It's just the way some of the Java stuff works. So when I run this, you can see I got my millis running up here. All right, so I'm going to write a little bit of code to change this up. I want to say, actually, and there's a couple things I'm going to do in here. I want this to be, I'm going to divide by like 100. Let's see how that works in there. I really want this to be, I want it to be like 2.1, 2.2, 2.3. So I want to have the tenths of a second, but I don't really want to have anything else. So actually I'm going to divide by 100 in here. And then we can see, this is like tenths of a second, 3 point, or 4 point, whatever. I can divide by that. Let's see, that should be good. Dividing by that, and then, no. Actually, I think I'm going to take this, just write a little code here, and then I'm going to divide by 10.0. And we're actually going to get this just right. And if we look at what's happening here, you can see how it's like just what I want, right? I have the seconds and then the tenths of a second. What I'm doing in here is like right here, I'm basically getting rid of some zeros in my code. I'm getting rid of the last 2 places. If it's 2,000 and I divide by 100, that will basically, or it's at 2,532 and I divide by 100, integer division, I'm going to get just 25 left. It's not going to show the decimals like the 0.32 that should be there. So when we do this, we're just cutting it down. We're getting rid of those 2 decimal places, and we're just ending up with, yeah, the seconds and the tenths of a second. Then when I do double division, it's going to divide, but we're going to keep track of that decimal place. So that's how I end up with this timer that looks like this. Okay, let's see, almost there. Next up, I think I want to do some screens. So I think many of you have done these screens before, different like scenes in your game before. So let's set that up. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a little scene tracker that's going to keep track of like what scene we are in. I'll just declare it up there. Into my setup, I'm going to say scene. So this is basically keeping track of like what screen we're at. What screen are we displaying? I'm going to say if screen is 0, this is like our gameplay screen. So if scene is equal to 0, we can do all this stuff. Otherwise, I think regardless, we're going to have the background resetting. That's fine. Regardless, I want to say in the middle, I'm going to say text like, oops, I don't know what that was. Text high score plus timer. And we'll put this kind of in the middle. I could do this better, and hopefully you'll spend the time to make this a little bit better. Let's do it like that. Oh, and then actually for this, I'm going to make a little cheat code for myself because I don't have to click on those things every time I'm testing this. I want to say that if I press spacebar, sure, I think I can do bubbles. Go to the array list. I think I can just say clear, which should erase the entire array list. Let's see if that works. Hit space. Good. So that went kind of quick. I just said in here that if I hit spacebar, delete everything in the array. And now I need to have something in my game that's going to say if, and I probably should start to, I'm already getting a little, feeling a little weird because I should have more, I should probably start breaking this up into some methods, but I'm not doing that for right now. Scene is equal to 1. Let's try and run that. So if we run this, hit space, it's showing me my score. Yeah. There's different things. I'd love to have a spacebar that goes back to the game, resets the game, but I'm not going to cover all that stuff in here. All right, last thing I think I want to do on here is I want to have like a high score. So I'm going to say double like high score. I'm going to say to begin with. So basically what I'm going to do is, and again, this is starting to get, I feel a little bit gross, but just for the interest of time, I'm not going to clean this up. I should be making this into separate methods. Yeah. Let's see. So if bubble size is 0, that's kind of when my game is over. I want to say if high score less than timer. And maybe I could rename my variables here a little bit. I feel like maybe this should be really score instead of timer, because that's really what I'm trying to do. I should say high score is equal to timer. Let's see. In the interest of making this the last thing I do, I'm going to say if scene is equal to 0, we should clear. I want my spacebar to do different things. Else, I think I can just run setup. Should work. Basically, rerun the setup. So let's see if we do that. We hit space. We get our score. Hit space, and it goes back to the game. It's not resetting my timer. I'd like to have to mess around with that. Yeah, I have to mess around with that a little bit, I think, to update the timer. But I'm not going to cover everything in here. All right, last thing I want to do in here is I want to just get a high score. Is going to be equal to high score. Okay. I think I did everything I wanted to do in here. Well, that's not great. Let me change that the location there a little bit. That should be like 500. I need to reset the score in some way. I have to do something on that. All right, this video's going longer, really longer than I wanted to. I think what I have to do in here to get this timer to work a little bit better, I have to have something like a game start variable that's going to keep track of when the game started. So I need to, I think whenever I run setup, I want to say game start is equal to the current time, right? And then whenever I am getting my timer, let's say timer is going to be, is equal to timer's going to be equal to millis minus game start. So we'll do that to begin with to get a timer. And then I'm just going to say timer is equal to its original value divided by 100 divided by 10. I think that should work and give us essentially the same thing. Not quite. I got to mess with these values a little bit. It's pretty close. That's space, restart. It is restarting, but I got to mess around with these values a little bit. Oh, all right, I think what I can do in here, because this is now a double, the integer division isn't working quite as well. I think if I make this into an integer, if I cast this into an integer, then I can keep my code the same as it was. There we go. Space, 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 space. All right, I have to do the last. I'm going to do 2 more things in the last one where let's see, I want to do saving to a file, and I need to have like something where, yeah, it updates. Oh, no, okay, it's working. Yeah, no, I got the part where I wanted it, right, where I'm getting these things to disappear. I'm just doing it with the space bar. All right, okay, so I got everything I wanted to do in this video. Whew, long one.